Dale Evans, the beloved queen of the West, spent her life next to cowboy legend Roy Rogers. They won hearts with their stories of love and faith. But behind the cameras, Dale's life was full of secrets, loss, and a shocking truth about her husband that surprised everyone. Her last years hurt a lot, both in her body and her heart, as she finally told the truth that had bothered her for decades. What was Dale's darkest secret that she couldn't hide anymore? Dale Evans wasn't always the fancy cowgirl you saw in movies. She was born Frances Octavia Smith on October 31, 1912, in Uvalde, Texas. Her early years were hard, full of moving around and sadness. Frances, or Franny as some called her, spent a lot of her childhood living with her uncle, Dr. L.D. Massey, a doctor in Osceola, Arkansas. Living with her uncle was supposed to make life more steady, but young Frances still had a lot of worries and tough times. At only 14 years old, Frances made a big choice. She ran off and married a man named Thomas Fox. By 15, she had a baby boy named Thomas Fox, Jr. It wasn't the happy fairy tale she wanted. Her young husband left her just 1 year later, and Frances became a single mom in Memphis, Tennessee. Suddenly, she had to raise a baby alone while chasing her dream of singing. But Frances never gave up. In Memphis, she got singing jobs at radio stations WMC and WRAK, where she played piano, sang, and started getting fans. It was a beginning, but life was still hard. She was divorced by 1929, and her big music dream still felt far away. Then came a big change, a new name. While working at WOS Radio in Louisville, Kentucky, the station boss said she needed a shorter, cooler name that was easy to say. Dale Evans. It sounded fun, quick, and easy to remember. Frances loved it and hoped the new name would bring a fresh start. In her early days, Dale became a jazz, swing, and big band singer. She had a smooth but strong voice that people loved on the radio. Her talent got her a movie screen test and a contract with 20th Century Fox Studios. Dale was finally becoming famous, but there were rules. Hollywood wanted her to look perfect, clean, and with no scandals. So the studio made up a story. Dale wasn't a single mom. She was the unmarried, caring big sister of her teenage brother, Tommy. In real life, Tommy was her son, Thomas Fox, Jr. The truth stayed hidden. It hurt her to lie, but she had to do it to keep her job. Dale's love life was just as messy as her early work life. After her first marriage to Fox failed, she tried again in 1929 with August Wayne Johns. That marriage lasted until 1935, but ended with no kids and not much joy. Dale kept going in love and work. In 1937, she married Robert Dale Butts, a piano player and arranger who helped with her music. They worked great together on songs, but their marriage wasn't full of love. By 1946, Dale and Butts were divorced, another broken marriage behind her. While she was at 20th Century Fox, Dale became more than just a radio voice. Enos people were turning her into a real star. Her name was getting big, and she got to be the main singer on the Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy radio show. That was huge. It brought her to way more fans. Her cowgirl look started too. She wore cool things like white leather gloves with pretty stitching and pink shiny cowboy boots that made her country style look fancy. On New Year's Eve 1947, Dale Evans married Roy Rogers at the Flying L Ranch in Davis, Oklahoma. It wasn't just any wedding. It brought together two huge Hollywood stars. This was Roy's third marriage and Dale's fourth, but they were perfect for each other. They had met while filming Home in Oklahoma and had already been a popular movie pair for over a year. Their spark wasn't just acting. They became real partners in work and life, sharing love, sadness, and tons of cowboy hats. Right after the wedding, Dale decided it was time to tell the truth. For years, the studio had said her son Tommy was her little brother. Now married to Roy, Dale was ready to say it out loud. Tommy was her son, not her brother. The secret was finally out. Roy, who already had 3 kids from his earlier marriage, Cheryl, Linda, and Roy Jr., called Dusty, welcomed Tommy like his own son. In 1950, Dale and Roy had their first baby together, Robin Elizabeth. Everyone was so happy, but soon came terrible sadness. Robin was born with Down syndrome and had lots of health problems. She passed away just before she turned 2. Dale was heartbroken, but she turned her pain into something good. She wrote a book called Angel Unaware about Robin's short life. It wasn't only a memory. It helped change how people saw kids with disabilities. Because of her work, the Oklahoma County Council for Mentally Retarded Children was renamed the Dale Rogers Training Center to honor her. Dale kept writing many books, almost all about faith and hope, to help parents going through the same thing. Roy and Dale didn't stop with Robin. They adopted 4 more kids, Mimi, Dodie, Sandy, and Debbie, and made one big, happy, mixed family. Even with crazy, busy jobs, they tried to give every child a loving home. The couple's magic on screen turned into huge TV success. From 1951 to 1950, they starred in The Roy Rogers Show. Dale rode her pretty buckskin horse Buttermilk, and Roy rode Trigger. The show let them play cowboy and cowgirl, but Dale added something extra. She showed kindness and talked about believing in God, often telling viewers to pray when life was hard. But Dale didn't just act. In 1962, she and Roy hosted their own comedy western variety show called The Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Show. By then, Dale was very open about being Christian. She used the show to talk about God and wove faith into the stories. In 1964, she even spoke at a big Project Prayer rally at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. The rally wanted to bring back required prayer in schools after the Supreme Court said no. Dale told the 2,500 people there, "It's high time that all America stood up to be counted. Let our children learn of the Lord and be free." She stood with stars like Walter Brennan, Rhonda Fleming, and Pat Boone, who felt the same way. When the 1964 election came, Dale supported Barry Goldwater, the very conservative candidate who talked a lot about American values. Dale didn't just say she liked him. She went out and campaigned because his ideas matched her Christian beliefs. That made sense. Her whole famous image was faith, family, and loving America. In the 1970s, Dale went back to music and recorded several albums of Christian songs that were simple but full of feeling about forgiveness, love, and hope. Even when TV changed, Dale and Roy stayed loved by America. In the 1980s, they showed their old movies on the Nashville network and brought happy memories to new people. In the 1990s, Dale started her own religious TV show to keep sharing messages of faith and hope. She kept telling her story, her hard times, and her strong belief that God had a plan for everyone. Even when Roy got sick, Dale stayed strong and was with him until he died in 1998, ending more than 50 years together. In 1955, Roy and Dale bought a huge 168-acre ranch near Chatsworth, California, and later made it 300 acres. It looked perfect for Western stars, but even with the pretty land and movie success, terrible things happened. In 1964, their adopted daughter, Debbie, died in a church bus crash. She was only 12. It crushed Dale and Roy completely. The bus crashed on a church trip that was supposed to be fun. Dale said it was one of the worst times of her life, and that no parent should ever bury their child. Debbie's death changed Dale. She felt guilty and wondered if she could have kept her safe. Still, she held on to her faith and believed Debbie was now happy in heaven with Robin. The pain made Roy and Dale sell the Chatsworth Ranch and move to a 67-acre place called the Double R Bar Ranch in Apple Valley, California. It was supposed to be a new beginning, but Dale still thought about Debbie all the time. She kept working and talking about faith and keeping going, but her words got more real. She talked openly about deep sadness and how hard it is to keep believing when life hurts so much. All through their marriage, Dale and Roy were true partners, but things weren't always easy. In her later years, Dale started talking about some of the hard parts. She never said anything mean about Roy in public, but she hinted at the stress of their busy life. Roy's very strict way of raising the kids, and how being away filming or touring made her feel alone sometimes. Dale's honesty went further than just marriage. She also talked about regrets from early in her career, especially having to lie for years that her son Tommy was her brother. Even after she told the truth, that lie still bothered her inside and added to all the pain she carried. Even with so much hurt, Dale never stopped believing in faith, family, and love. Her daughter Dodie still talks about how strong her mom was. Dodie says, "Mom was a strong woman. She faced tragedy after tragedy, but she always found a way to keep going." Dale Evans died on February 7, 2001, at age 88, just 3 years after Roy. Her last years were hard because her health was bad, but she kept sharing her story and her faith. Dodie says her mom's final days were calm, and Dale was ready and happy to go be with Roy and the children they lost. Dodie still honors her parents by going to events and telling stories about growing up in the Rogers-Evans family. She says, "Mom wasn't afraid to reveal the truth. She believed in sharing the good and the bad because that's what makes a person whole." Dale Evans and Roy Rogers weren't just movie stars. They were true legends. Their influence goes way past screens and songs. They helped shape Western movies and music and inspired people for generations. Their names are literally carved in stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Dale has 2 stars, one for radio at 6638 Hollywood Boulevard and one for television at 1737 Vine Street. Those stars show not only her success, but that she was a trailblazer for women in show business. And Roy has 3 stars of his own, for movies, television, and radio, all near each other on Vine Street. Having 3 is super rare and shows how big he was in every kind of entertainment. Roy also won the Golden Boot Award in 1983 and the Golden Boot Founders Award in 1996 for everything he did for Westerns. In 1976, both Dale and Roy were put into the Western Performers Hall of Fame at the National Cowboy Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. It was perfect for the couple everyone thought of when they heard cowboy life. Dale went back to that same museum in 1995, this time to the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame in Fort Worth, Texas. Roy was honored as one of the first members of the Sons of the Pioneers, the singing group that started his career. Dale made lists, too. In 2002, CMT ranked her number 34 on the 40 Greatest Women of Country Music. Her song, Happy Trails, is still loved and feels like a life motto. Roy is in the Country Music Hall of Fame twice, once in 1980 with the Sons of the Pioneers, and again in 1988 by himself. As of August 2022, he's still the only person ever to get in twice. The couple even has a shared golden star on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars from 2001. But their biggest mark isn't awards. Dale changed how people treat kids with special needs. The Dale Rogers Training Center in Oklahoma is proof of the good she did with her own heartbreaking story. Roy was proud of his Cherokee heritage, and in 1967 was named Outstanding Indian Citizen of the Year by Western tribes for helping keep Native culture alive while being the most famous cowboy ever. Even today, pop songs and movies remember them. Songs like If I Had a Boat by Lyle Lovett, Roy Rogers by Elton John, and Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith mention Roy. He even shows up in Randy Travis's Heroes and Friends video. In the movie Die Hard, Bruce Willis's character says he always liked Roy Rogers and uses Roy as a fake name. It's small, but it shows how much America still loves that cowboy. Dale's story lives on through her daughter, Cheryl Rogers Barnett, who wrote a book called Cowboy Princess: Life with My Parents. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. It tells the real love, hard times, and lessons from two of America's favorite stars. In 2018, both Dale and Roy were put into the National Multicultural Western Heritage Hall of Fame. Dale still inspires girls who don't have many chances, and Roy's name still means the perfect, honest cowboy. Their old movies still play. The sons of the pioneers still sing Roy's songs, and the family keeps their memory alive at events and in books. Dale and Roy's life wasn't only fame. It was a real story of love, huge loss, strong faith, and never giving up on what they believed. They rode through sunny days and storms with big smiles, just like their song Happy Trails always said.